in a shop again, our usual place, having a look at I love Vancouver stuff.
And I was born just a short walk from here in Gastown, 1873. Of course, back then there was no Vancouver. This was a rainforest, deep ravines running through what is now downtown Vancouver, trees 3 times the height of that building, all around us. Imagine that. Those trees came down fast, and when the railway arrived, a city was born. You'll hear about some of my old friends and acquaintances along the way. Our first stop is the Hotel Victorian, Vancouver's oldest operating hotel and still going strong. We'll finish up at Maple Tree Square, Gastown. I've got my bag here with me. I've got some photographs and clippings that I'll show you along the way. And if you have any questions as we go about, feel free to ask in between stories. I love this little hotel, the Hotel Victorian, built in 1898, Vancouver's oldest operating hotel. 1898, that was a tough year for me, but here in Vancouver, the Klondike Gold Rush was on, and this was a boom town. Men lined up 10 thick on Water and Cordova Streets, waiting to get outfitted for their adventures up north. I booked a steamship from here to Skagway, Alaska, then hiked and canoed the rest of the way, dressed as a 14-year-old boy the whole way. Those Mounties ran a tight ship. They only wanted properly prepared gold miners, not good time girls. Handsome man he was, kind eyes, thick beard. But as soon as we passed the Mountie checkpoint, I gave that poor soul the slip. I didn't see him again until early December. He was strapped to the back of a mule, and a Mountie was carrying him down Main Street, Dawson City. His hands and feet were black stumps, frostbite. Us girls, we stuck together. My closest friend was Kitty Rockwell. Kitty was a star, a legend in the Klondike. Those old sourdoughs worshipped Kitty Rockwell. She could bring a room full of men to their feet with just a flick of her heel. And she was kind to me. When I first met her, I told her my whole story. And she said, "Sarah, it don't matter what you've done, it's what you will do that counts." This dress actually cost Kitty $1,500. That was a lot of money in 1898. Eventually, Kitty left to go on tour in search of fame and fortune. So in the best and warmest terms, we parted ways. I decided to stick it out, but eventually the Klondike died. Only the most hopeful, deranged sourdoughs stuck it out. And I decided to leave and come back to Vancouver, take my chances. Welcome to Gastown. Now let's go back in time before I was even born, before these buildings were built. A man arrived on the waterfront nearby in a canoe. In his canoe was his wife Cohelia from the Squamish Nation. His mother-in-law, a chair, a dog, and a barrel full of whiskey. The year was 1867. Now, can anyone tell me who this man was? I hear Jack? Yes, get to see Jack. Also known as John Dayton, from Yorkshire, England. He was a sailor, a miner, and by all accounts an enthusiastic consumer of alcoholic beverages. Gassy figured that if he built a saloon somewhere around here, it would be far enough away from the mill that Mr. Stamp wouldn't try to shut him down, and close enough that the workers wouldn't mind the walk. So one Sunday afternoon, Gassy crept into the mill, and he told the workers his idea. Well, they liked that idea. They liked it so much, they even offered to help him build it. It took them one day. A shaft, 2 barrels, and a plank of wood for the bar, and Gassy's town, or Gastown, was born. Now, a lifetime of drinking did finally catch up to Gassy Jack, and he died at the age of 44 under a mountain load of debt. And although his name still remains, this is not a man who deserves our love and adoration. After all, his wife Mahalia was only 12 years old when he married her. This was the edge of town, a ramshackle town on the edge of a vast continent. And who lived here? A few women, few children, but mostly men. Hordes of them usually drunk, having a wild time on their breaks from the logging camps and mines, staggering between the various drinking holes on Water Street. But there was one danger, closer to home, of which every parent warned their child. Don't climb down the well. The North Shore, much like today, had masses of water resting in lakes and tumbling down creeks. Here in Gastown, water was much more scarce. So we built cisterns to collect rainwater, and some families even built their own private wells. Don't climb down the well, the parents would say. Never mind the rats. One slip and no one will ever hear you drown. Don't climb down the well. When the Great Fire came in June 1886, it swept through Gastown in 20 minutes. Every home on Cordova Street was lost. Only one building survived, a hotel. It sat at the end of this alleyway, now long gone. Now there was one home on this street that was home to a young family, a mother, a father, and a newborn baby boy. The first she would have known of the fire was the smoke coming in from under the front door. She would have heard the crackling outside. With her husband at work, she picked up her newborn baby and opened the door to an inferno. The loggers could hear her screams. They were too busy trying to save their own lives. What was she to do? She was found the next morning, still holding on to her baby boy. Every inch of their hair, skin, and clothes were pitch black with soot, but not a single burn on them. She had climbed down the well. She didn't slip, and she didn't fall. She made it all the way to the bottom, holding onto her baby boy with everything she had. But a raging fire eats up every atom of oxygen it can find, and they suffocated to death. And you might hear a baby softly crying, and the voice of a young mother saying, "Please, don't climb down the well."
Are you scared yet on the ghost tour?
My sister Marianne and I worked as chambermaids for a wealthy couple whose home sat on this block. Over on this side was the parlor with a big chaise lounge. And over on this side was the bedroom with a 4-poster bed. And over in the corner was a vanity table where Mrs. Tompkins kept all her brushes and her powders. And right where you're standing, sir, that was the most important spot in the room, where they kept the chamber pot. She was tall and gangly, not like me, and she had wild hair. She looked a bit like a willow tree. and Mrs. Tompkins, who liked to gossip, said that Marianne had arms like sticks and fingers like twigs. She was more like a mother to me than a sister, really. Our mother passed away after I was born, and our father left shortly after. As we were running, the buildings, they weren't going up in flames around us, they were exploding all around us, and the metal rivets holding the sidewalk planks together, they were exploding like shrapnel all around us. We passed the gun store just before the fire. 10,000 rounds of ammunition exploded in seconds. Flemish saved a lot of lives that day. As soon as they saw the smoke across the inlet, they went straight into their canoes. I still remember them, calmly fishing people out one by one. Old Sammy Sampson died trying to save his favorite goose. I even heard about one fella who died trying to save his stock of firewood. That'll be an interesting story for him to tell up in heaven.
Are you loving it? It's really interesting.
Taken from where we're standing right now with the view looking down the street. This was taken before the fire. Looks like they're removing the tree stump. And can anyone see that little white house with the veranda? Very small. Remember that house? I have a story to tell you about it later. This next photograph is taken from the same spot with the same view, looking down the street after the fire. There is still ash on the ground. The bylaw has not been passed yet, and that's why the buildings are not yet made out of brick.
We're on the tour. Are you scared yet? Terrified. Terrified. At the front. It's alright, you carry on, love.
A terrible disease that has spanned the continent, killing as it went. It was said of this epidemic, it is the greatest human catastrophe in human history, far exceeding the Black Death of medieval Europe. Vancouver met with the Coast Salish people still recovering from a terrible onslaught. The first signs of smallpox are mild. You might have fatigue, a headache, sore throat. You might feel better after a couple of days, think maybe you just had the flu. But then the lesions appear, not on the skin, but in the mouth and the throat. Within 24 hours, the rash, forming hard beads like pustules under the skin. These pustules would then open and crack, and a vile stench would emanate from your skin, and your body would be plagued with secondary infections. If you were lucky, these sores would scab over and heal. You'd be left horribly disfigured, maybe even blind. But if you were unlucky, lesions in your throat would make it impossible to drink, and you would literally die of thirst. Or the rash would turn inward, hemorrhaging under the skin, and you would bleed to death from the eyes, nose, and mouth. It is the ghosts of smallpox who lie upon this land that we honor. And the hangings weren't here. The hangings were in New Westminster. It was the firehouse. Yeah. Large entranceways were for the horses to go in and out. Not that Mr. Hackman was in any way respectable. I did everything I could to avoid being alone with that man. There's always the threat of smallpox hanging in the air. It was coming. This was the year. All it takes is one infected sailor. On July 23rd, 1893, smallpox had arrived in Vancouver. It took Marianne. She hadn't been feeling well for a couple of days, but we didn't think anything of it. We then placed this yellow square of fabric outside the door. That was the sign. Yellow. Quarantine for smallpox. Dead Man's Island was just off Stanley Park. It's where they had the pest house. It's where they took you if you had smallpox. If you survived, you came back. If you died, you stayed there. They opened the door. Poor Marianne. She could hardly stand. I helped her into the wagon. Imagine putting your only sister on the wagon to Dead Man's Island. That was the last time I saw Marianne. On July 29th, 1893, she was buried in the cemetery of Dead Man's Island. Came as a barmaid at the Sunnyside Hotel, which stood right here. For those of you who are eagle-eyed, you can see Bernie Stewart looking elegant as always. Particular evening, it was raining, much like today, and a gentleman walked into the bar. He was tall and wiry with a narrow face. He took a seat at the bar and said he was here to get outfitted for the Klondike. He ordered himself a whiskey and said his name was John Gray. Now, I sometimes like to have a drink of gin with the customers, so we got to talking. His story unfolded. He said he had lived here, but then left when his wife died, leaving him with two girls, a grumpy 12-year-old and a newborn baby. He told his eldest daughter that he was going to visit her mother's grave, and he never returned. I asked him what his daughter's names were. He said the eldest was Marianne, and he couldn't remember the baby's name. I went behind the bar, and I took a revolver from the cabinet. I held up the revolver, and I put 3 bullets into John Gray's head, right in his face. The woman throwing her baby into the water, all out of the city archives. This really was the cover of the Daily Province newspaper. John Gray was a gentleman who was shot in the head 3 times and survived for 3 weeks. They never did find his killers.
Hotel now. Yeah, good tour. She did explain that some of it was factual and some of it wasn't. So the story about her and her sister wasn't, but obviously smallpox was factual, etc. You might hear the tea machine, that's fun. So we are going off to bed now. I just want to say thank you again for all your lovely comments, subscriptions, and just bearing with us during our Vancouver time. And we will see you next week for our next vlog. Bye guys. Hi everybody, this is Tasha from the future. Alan would like to be here, but unfortunately he's working at the moment, so you've just got me. I'm trying to catch you up with what happened in Vancouver. So we did the Vancouver Aquarium and we did the ghost tour. However, the next morning, which was a Friday, we all woke up and we were exhausted. Like, I think if you've watched this vlog series, you would have seen that we were pretty much doing something every single day. And that Friday we were like, you know what, no, let's just rest and chill out and just take it easy that day. So that's what we did. We stayed around the hotel, all 4 of us, had a bit of lunch, laid in for as much as we could, and just enjoyed being in Vancouver. So we didn't actually film that day, we just rested the whole day. And then the next day was flying home, and we don't generally now record going home because it's just a bit boring really. It's a flight home and it was absolutely fine, and then we came back to the UK, and that was the end of the vlog series. I hope you really enjoyed this vlog series. We did. Oh my god, this holiday was insane. The things that we saw in Alaska was sensational. We also met the most amazing people on that cruise, and some of them are like watching and following us now, so hi guys if you're watching. It was awesome to meet you. Oh my god, yeah, if you're thinking about doing the Alaskan cruise, I highly recommend you do it. It will be the most amazing trip of a lifetime, and me and Alan just would love to go back again because it was so good. This is a chance for me to even do a bit of a wrap up as well, just to say a massive thank you to Kat and Charlie, who came on this very special trip with us and made it super special. I think you can see on the camera that we have a great friendship and we're laughing all the time, and you only saw a part of it, you know, we were laughing behind the camera as well. We had such an amazing time. It was so good. Yeah, thank you guys. We love you both so much, and hopefully we'll see you on future trips. Now, as you might be aware from an Instagram post that I posted recently, there is another trip coming. I'll be right back. Oh yes, it's another cruise from the ears. It's the Disney Magic going on the Halloween on the high seas up the east coast of Canada. It will just be me and Alan doing this trip, this vlog series that's coming up next. I do hope you stick around to watch it. I'm sure we're going to do the most amazing things and see the most amazing things again and meet the most incredible people. And now it's my turn to say thank you to you guys for watching us, for watching every vlog, for subscribing, for liking, for all the comments that we had on the Alaskan cruise. It was insane. And then to hit 300 subscribers, oh my god, like, wow, 300 people want to subscribe to our channel, that's insane. Anyway, thank you so much for everything, all the comments, everything, and we hope to see you in the future. Love to you all. Bye.